David had always dreamed of flying, and one day, he finally made it happen. Using all the money he'd saved up in his life, he underwent a surgery to have wings implanted. Now that he had wings, David said confidently, "I can go anywhere I want," and with that, he took off for his very first flight. David thought flying would solve everything, but the sky was full of unexpected obstacles. Billboards, trees, and tangled wires made flying at this height a nightmare for a beginner. One wrong move could mean getting electrocuted by a power line. David decided he needed to fly higher. The wind picked up around 10 meters per second. Small drones zipped around him and giant signs were hard to avoid. David's flying skills were still clumsy, and the power lines from nearby towers were a serious threat. Craving more freedom and less danger, David climbed even higher. The wind now blew at 15 meters per second. David's body started shaking mid-air, and it became harder to stay stable. Worse, he was near a restricted area. If he got too close, he might be mistaken for a threat. Helicopters buzzed nearby. Getting too close to one could get him sucked into the rotor wash, or worse, crashed by turbulence. A hawk flew toward him aggressively. David didn't want to deal with anything else, so he flew even higher. Was this too high? The temperature dropped suddenly, and David's body began to shiver. Controlling his direction became nearly impossible. His hands and feet trembled.
Work with me.
Flying near a military zone, some mistook him for a drone. A swarm of crows flew straight at him. He barely dodged them and caught his breath. Wearing metal gear at this altitude? Risky lightning strikes can happen in midair. It was freezing. So cold, it didn't even feel real. There wasn't enough oxygen anymore. David started to lose his sense of direction. He got a nosebleed as he climbed even higher. Small aircrafts were flying nearby. Just one misstep, and it could be fatal. David started to gasp for air. The temperature had dropped to minus 15 degrees Celsius. Oxygen levels down to 65%. Altitude sickness kicked in hard. His head pounded, and nausea surged through his body. He lost his balance mid-flight and began to spin. Out of nowhere, a massive flock of geese charged at him. This wasn't a place for humans. It belonged to the birds. But David wasn't ready to quit. He folded his wings and pushed even higher. He was now flying above Mount Everest. The temperature dropped below negative 30 degrees Celsius. Oxygen was down to 30%. His tears and saliva froze. He couldn't feel his fingers. David was drifting through the sky, completely lost. Suddenly, a loud roar. A commercial airliner zoomed past him. If they'd collided, it would have been instant death. At this altitude, radar picked him up instantly. Without an IFF signal, David was labeled as an unidentified flying object. Back on the ground, someone was about to press a button. The engage button. David realized too late. The sky wasn't where he found freedom. It was where he met his limits.